The question I would like to pose to the audience, to anybody who's listening to this, is that if you're currently in a coaching role, think about it. Who's going to fill your shoes? We've always taken it for granted that there's always going to be somebody in that hiring process, always somebody in the pipeline. And I think with some of the data that we're seeing, that pipeline's getting a little bit narrow. And so we've got to think ahead. If we're really going to impact the profession, you got to think, who's going to fill my shoes?
Hi, everyone. This is Libby Pacheco from the THSCA. Welcome to Season 4 of the Coach's Call podcast. This season, we'll keep delivering content to help you tackle all the different aspects of coaching, from the personal side of what it means to lead to the professional challenges we know you face every day. With basketball and soccer seasons upon us, we want to encourage everyone to stay connected and engage with the Texas way. This program is designed to foster positive sportsmanship across the state, and we're already seeing that positive impact in our fall sports. Positive sportsmanship is something our students, schools, and communities value deeply. So let's continue building on the momentum so we can ensure it remains a core part of Texas athletics. Finally, as leaders in community, education-based athletics, we encourage you to shine a light on all the good things happening in your program. Today, more than ever, it's important to show how athletics positively impact students, schools, and communities. Whether it's the hard work, character, or achievements, every day brings something worth celebrating. So don't let those moments go unnoticed and unshared. When you share your stories, you're helping build support for programs and strengthen our communities across the entire state. Thank you for tuning in, for supporting the podcast, and all you do to support the THSCA. Together, we will continue to help coaches help kids.
Did you know that you can use podcasting to not only share the great news about your athletes and your programs, but as a fundraiser for your booster club? Yes, Lone Star Gridiron produced the 5th podcast in history and has been doing it 20 years. We are expanding now to do shows outside of football. So whatever your sport, reach out to us at 713-269-4620, and we'll discuss how you can use this amazing tool to supercharge your program. And the best part, we do all the heavy lifting. Text your name and school to 713-269-4620. All right, welcome back to the Coach's Call. I'm Chris Daly, and I know I say this every time, but I have some very special guests this time. I want to first introduce Shannon Rideout, the Assistant Athletic Director for Fort Bend ISD. Shannon, how are you doing?
Doing wonderful, Chris. Thanks for allowing us to have this opportunity to be able to share with one another and be able to talk about such an amazing association. Really looking forward to this opportunity.
I love that. And I'm going to get out of the way pretty quick here and let you take over. But tell us who you're going to be interviewing, what you're going to be talking about.
Absolutely. So we'll interview Kelli Campbell, actually not only a colleague, but I consider her a friend. She is phenomenal in what she does. She serves as a director for Future Coaches of Texas Association, and we've had a chance to work with her since its inception, pretty much, and really looking forward to getting a chance to learn more about the association as she's able to share with the listeners on the podcast.
I love that, and I am so looking forward to being that fly on the wall that just gets to sit and listen. So I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Chris.
Of course.
And so with that, again, thank you all for tuning in to the podcast, also known as the Coach's Call, put on by the Texas High School Coaches Association. Again, I'm Shannon Rideout. I serve as one of the assistant athletic directors for Fort Bend ISD. However, I also have the honor and the privilege to be able to serve on the advisory council for the Future Coaches of Texas Association. And so through that, I've been able to really establish a really good rapport with that association, with the Future Coaches of Texas Association. And I've had a chance to lock arms with Kelli as she continues to really use her platform to really promote the profession and grow the profession. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Kelli so she can just tell us a little bit more about her role with the Future Coaches of Texas Association.
Sure. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for having me on today. The Future Coaches of Texas Association came about from an idea as well as a program that we have at A&M. We started an undergraduate coaching certificate program here at A&M, specifically for A&M students, and then we quickly realized that it is essential that we get information about that career path into the hands of students at a much younger age. And so we looked at what was available out there currently with regards to student organizations and so forth, and realized that there's really no student organization in Texas or even in the country really that focuses on that coaching career path. And so being the Coaching Academy, we said, let's see if we can do something about that. So about I guess it was 2021, we really started to mull this idea over. And then we did a little pilot process where we put our documentation together, put our thoughts, our mission, vision together. And then last August was really the hard rollout of the program. And so it's really, truly been operational now for just over a year. And we're excited to see the growth. We've got approximately 30 high schools right now that are in that, registration process. Some of them are still trying to stand up their chapters and so forth. But we're excited to work with high schools to work with these students and so forth, getting them into Future Coaches of Texas.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Kelli. And again, I've had a unique vantage point, and I just love what you've done in terms of really growing the association at the grassroots level. Just ultimately would like to find out from you, and just as a whole for the Future Coaches of Texas Association, what do you see as an ultimate goal for the association?
Well, the idea is to help the coaching profession. It's really teacher coach profession, because in Texas you have to be certified to teach in order to coach as well. So right now we've got a huge deficit across Texas in the number of coaches that we are able to produce and the number of coaches and teachers that are actually needed. And so we've had the opportunity to work with my coaching tree to get some data. And in July, we had a severe shortage of coaches going into this school year, and districts and administrators were looking desperately for, who's going to fill these shoes, who's going to come in and take over these coaching positions. And so our objective really is to get kids at the high school level interested in the coaching profession. Many of them are athletes and they have the heart for sport, but they maybe have never put themselves in a coaching position. And so we figure, if we can give them a little bit of experience, give them a little bit of background, maybe give them those coaching fundamentals earlier, then maybe they'll look for that career path long term and help fill some of those shoes that are currently vacant.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Kelli. Now, in order to be able to get an association of this magnitude off the ground, clearly you need some support. And so with that, we were just trying to figure out if you could kind of elaborate on what governing body is help support the Future Coaches of Texas Association, and, what role ultimately do they play as a governing body, if you will?
So our real governing body for this is, of course, our FCTA Advisory Council. I would say our primary partner, our primary support organization is the Texas High School Coaches Association. Every time they go and they do a presentation or they talk to a school district, they mention Future Coaches of Texas as an option to participate in the state of Texas with regards to like a grow your own type program. So I would say THSCA has been our strongest advocate and supporter overall. We do have a dedicated advisory council for the association. And then in July of this year, we actually were provided a grant through TEA. And we've had the opportunity to collaborate with TEA. If you've ever done anything with CTE programming within the school district, You'll be familiar with the 9 CTSOs that are currently recognized in the state of Texas. Well, earlier this year, they basically opened up a grant so that they could add more CTSOs. And so in July, we were notified that Future Coaches of Texas was awarded one of those new CTSO grants. So I'm happy to report that, yes, THSCA is a huge supporter, is very, excited about what we're doing, but now we can bring TEA in as well and see both sides from an academic and athletic perspective and hopefully build some synergies there.
I love that. You're 100% correct that the Texas High School Coaches Association, they understand that there's a void and a gap that needs to be filled, and they're assisting at the grassroots level to be able to meet those needs and help grow that profession. And I couldn't agree with you more. They've truly been an advocate for what you all represent. So thanks for sharing that. And then also, as it relates to that, now that you're starting to get the chapters established on your campuses, how do you envision those meetings? And then just kind of from some of the feedback you've received, Kelli, what do those meetings look like on campus?
Sure. So it varies. We've had a wide variety of implementation with regards to the chapters. We've got some programs some districts that are choosing to create the chapters as a grow your own type initiative. So the athletic department really spearheads getting the chapters in place, getting them within the high schools, because it gives them a way to recognize which students truly have an interest in coaching and then be able to pour back into those students with the hopes that they'll come back to that school district if they do go that career path. We have a couple of schools who have chosen to team up Future Coaches of Texas with their CTE programming. And so we usually see that they take FCTA and run it alongside TAFE. And what ends up happening is you end up getting really those athletes, the kids who really want to coach, that come in, and then they're getting both sides of the puzzle. They're seeing the academic side, the certification requirements from the TAFE piece, and then they're also seeing those coaching pathways through Future Coaches of Texas. The other thing is we provide the curriculum on a monthly basis. And so we have a dedicated resources website where we post a topic each month and some sort of a video, audio file that talks about that topic. It's usually from a coach who has been assigned to that topic and is willing to present on it. And we publish that on the website, and then all of the chapters have the ability to view that content during their meetings. The couple of things that we've heard is that we need to make that content a little bit more interactive. So we're going to work on doing that. We've also worked with THSCA, and starting the spring of 2025, so in January, we're going to look at how we can align some of that curriculum with the Texas Way. The schools, there's a lot of school districts that are implementing the Texas Way, and we are really excited because a lot of the curriculum has like action items. We call them calls to action. And so we'll introduce the topic, and then we'll invite the chapters to do something to implement that topic into their chapter operations. And so by aligning that curriculum with the Texas Way content, now it gives them basically a bigger bang for their buck, so to speak. They can do those calls to action in support of not only their FCTA chapter, but in support of their Texas Way initiative as well.
Awesome. And so with anything, when you're building something up from the ground up, you expect there to be some challenges. Can you speak about some of the challenges that you faced or that you all are still facing as it relates to trying to grow Future Coaches of Texas?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, as with any startup, there's always the funding and the budgeting. Those are always in the back of our minds. But a lot of times we have to walk by faith that if we're doing the right thing and we're hopeful that it's going to grow and continue to be of benefit to students and school districts, then we're going to have faith that the funding will continue to come. And that's probably our biggest challenge is continuing to find those funding sources. Other than that, it's really getting the advisors and the coaches that we work with to understand, hey guys, you're going to have to be active with this. Yes, it's going to take up more of your time, but once you get it going, then it should be self-sustaining because you want your students to truly do the leading. And so getting that point across and getting those advisors to get those chapters in good standing, and then really handing it off to the students and saying, okay, this is your responsibility. This is your chapter. You have to keep the charter up to date. You have to make sure the dues get paid, all of that. So, like you said, Shannon, in any new organization, there's certainly hurdles to jump. But we think overall that things are moving forward very nicely. And the school districts that really engage with us are the ones that we see so much activity. We've got kids here locally through our Bryan chapter that they're already doing stuff with the NFL flag Aggie land that we have here. So we're excited to see where this is going to go. But, right now it's just building that foundation, getting those processes in place, and then moving forward.
Good deal. So you spoke about faith and trusting that ultimately this seed that's been planted will bear fruit. And so now that the seed has been planted, can you just talk to us about big picture thinking in terms of where you want the association to be as it relates to future coaches of Texas in the future down the line?
Absolutely. So ultimately, we want to have some sort of state convention. Every year, THSCA has their big coaching school, usually in Houston or San Antonio. And we want to do that same vision, but for the high school students. We want to get to a point where they can come to potentially a 2 to 3 day event. And we have seasoned coaches that come in and really pour into them. That really is the ultimate goal, is that we want to have some sort of state level convention to bring them all together. Now, to get there, it's a process. And so what we are excited to do is hopefully by December, if not before, we're going to roll out the first layer in getting to that state convention. And it's called our scoreboard. And this allows our chapters to do friendly competitions. It's all online with regards to the scoring process. And what we'll do is each academic year, we will set up scoring elements. And there will be points tied to each of those scoring elements. And as chapters complete those scoring elements, and a scoring element might be, okay, I've done 50 hours of volunteer coaching within my community, or I've updated my charter for this academic year. So it's going to be a wide range of scoring elements. And as they finish those scoring elements and they get fully approved, they will earn points for their chapter. And so we're hoping that those chapters will have these friendly competitions, and then we can identify the leaders within those chapters and help build this state level organization, and then eventually get to a state conference. So.
Good deal. You know what? I didn't have this question down, but I'm going to pose this question to you because that sounds like professional growth opportunities for aspiring coaches that are a part of future coaches of Texas. And so to that point, can you please just briefly talk about how the coaching academy seminars also feed into that professional development and professional growth?
Sure, absolutely. So we have regional student seminars that our FCTA chapters get the first opportunity to send students to. We are now marketing them as FCTA student seminars. And so we want this to be a core element of the overall programming. And what we do is we bring high schools in, and they can bring usually up to about 7 kids per high school. And we basically assign them tables, assign them sports. And in that day, the first half of the day, they get to kind of do some coaching. We break them up into groups. And if they've told us in the registration that football is their thing, well, guess what? You get to coach your peers a little bit in football. If it's basketball, you get to coach them in basketball. And so we do rotations just to get them a little bit out of their comfort zone and see what coaches have to experience on a daily basis. And then in the afternoon, we'll usually introduce a coaching topic and either have a guest speaker or do a coaching panel or give them an interactive activity where they have to take that topic and really apply it. So the whole idea is to get them into that professional mindset. We want them in these student seminars to take off their athlete hat, if they're an athlete, and put on a coaching hat, because oftentimes those students don't necessarily see what's going on in the background. They see the front. Hey, coach is doing this, coach is doing this, coach is saying this, but they don't necessarily have the context behind where that's coming from. And so it gives them just a little bit of, let's pull the curtain back a little bit and show them what's truly going on.
Wow. We at Fort Bend ISD, we love what you do with that on an annual basis. Our students definitely embrace those opportunities, and just thank you for affording those students with that opportunity to grow personally and professionally as it relates to the association. And then another question I have for you, Kelli, is let's say you have a coach, an athletic director, or a parent that's listening to this podcast, and they want to know how they can get a chapter started at their respective campus. Can you talk a little bit about how you can actually get that off the ground at one of your campuses?
Absolutely. Yes. So we do have a website. It's called futurecoachesoftexas.org. So it's basically one long word, futurecoachesoftexas.org. And they can go to that website. And we just recently posted what we call the new chapter guide. So if they hover their mouse over the About Us option at the very top, you can basically download the chapter registration guide. And that chapter registration guide walks administrators, coaches, whoever wants to kind of facilitate the creation of that chapter, it walks them step by step through the process of doing so. I know a lot of school districts would like to have more information before they go ahead and submit the registration. So I am happy to have a Zoom. I'm happy to have a phone call. I'm happy to, email back and forth, whatever's convenient with any administrator or coach who might be interested in standing up a chapter. I love the Zoom option because I really like to have these types of conversations face to face. And then I can always provide additional information through our email. Our email is also futurecoachesoftexas@tamu.edu.
Awesome. Well, believe it or not, Kelli, that actually was the last question before I pose one more to you. But like to see if there's anything that we failed to touch on that you would like to add that speaks to your mission and your vision, or what you all are ultimately doing with Future Coaches of Texas.
Sure. Well, the question I would like to pose to the audience, to anybody who's listening to this, is that if you're currently in a coaching role, think about it. Who's going to fill your shoes? We've always taken it for granted that there's always going to be somebody in that hiring process, always somebody in the pipeline. And I think with some of the data that we're seeing, that pipeline's getting a little bit narrow. And so we've got to think ahead. If we're really going to impact the profession, you got to think, who's going to fill my shoes? And we've got a population of really young coaches that are leaving the profession really quickly. And, I'll be honest, I had the luxury of going and sitting with the school district a couple of weeks ago. And I simply asked them, it was a coordinators meeting, and I simply asked them, think about your athletes. And with a show of hands, how many of you guys know of at least one athlete who might have an interest in coaching? And Shannon, 70% of those coaches raised their hands. And I'm like, we know there's an interest, guys. So let's bring all these students together and let's see if we can start coordinating that interest and really fueling their desire to fill your shoes, because we got to start asking ourselves, who's going to fill your shoes?
Wow. Kelli, thank you so much for sharing with us again. You are truly an advocate for the profession, and we thank God for you. It's a blessing to be able to consider you a colleague and someone who's clearly in support of growing this profession. So again, thank you for your time. And Chris, thank you for this opportunity to allow us to be able to share as well. And to that, we'll just turn it back over to you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Well, one more thing, guys. One more thing is it's a team, like everything. So again, I appreciate THSCA, all that they're doing. Shannon, it's been a pleasure working with you guys at Fort Bend ISD. Chris, I look forward to the conversations that hopefully come out of this podcast, but it's a team, and that's how we've got to look at it. It takes a team effort.
Amen.
Awesome.
Thank you, Shannon, for just a wonderful interview. And Kelli, it's always good to see you. And this organization, this whole mission is so important. I'm with you. I'm on the team.
Welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Hey, of course, I want to thank our guest, but I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me what I consider the most valuable thing you can give, your time and your attention. And I know you don't do it to hear me. You hear it for the great messages provided by the THSCA. And hey, if you'd like to associate your company with the THSCA and the Coach's Call podcast, limited sponsorship opportunities are available. You can reach out to me, Chris Daly, 713-269-4620, or head over to my website, freshmediaworks.com. Once again, thank you so much for supporting Texas high school coaches. Please share this show out to everybody you can so that we can help share these important messages. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on The Coach's Call. The interviews in this show are brought to you by the Texas High School Coaches Association. THSCA provides to its more than 26,000 members access to the people, events, tools, and resources to help them thrive in the profession, become trusted leaders in their communities, and live balanced and successful lives. The work and sacrifice coaches do every day is vital to the development and success of student athletes. The THSCA supports these efforts. We fight for every coach, provide them with the connections and resources to improve their lives, and help all student athletes throughout the state enjoy lasting success. The mission statement is simply this: to help and serve Texas high school coaches as they work to help and serve student athletes. Helping coaches help kids. For more information on the THSCA, visit www.thsca.com.